Okay, remember they're changing my voice partially because they want you to be confused about my spirit, and they want it to seem like the masses of whites, Jews, LGBT people, token minorities. Nobody else is like me. Okay? You know, right now there's some kind of gunk in my throat from being fumed, and it changes the way I sound, and then they edit it further. They edit the video further. Okay. So in 1 Samuel 18, this is after David has slayed Goliath, and Saul's daughter has been promised to him in marriage. And he said, "This day I will cut off your head, and the whole world will know that there's a God in Israel," toward the end of the chapter. Okay, Goliath had said that if someone beats him in single combat, that the Philistines will serve Saul and the Israelites. But if it's the other way around, then they'll serve the Philistines. David defeats him with a sling, cuts off his head. The Israelites are said to surge forward, a spiritual surge. That's the spirit, the fighting spirit, what have you. And of course, this is actual combat with weapons, close to natural combat. Okay. In 1 Samuel 18, okay, Samuel named after the prophet Samuel, who dies before 1 and 2 Samuel are completed, right? He dies in the story toward the end of 1 Samuel. Okay, the book of 1 Samuel. Okay, so in 1 Samuel 18, we see that Jonathan is said to be one in spirit with David, and that he loved him as himself, and he gives him his sword, his bow, and his belt, right? In Isaiah, it said the sash and the belt of faithfulness and righteousness, okay? So his righteousness is greater. And we'll see, we'll discuss it later in my videos about how Saul admitted that David should be king because he's more righteous than him. And in Proverbs 16:12, it says the throne is established in righteousness. So how does David establish his throne? He establishes it in righteousness and in martial combat, which he chose to use a sling, which isn't entirely fair. But it allows for people who actually are top martial artists, right? Jesus came to bring a sword and not a sling, with transferable skills through sparring, to be the fulfillment of the Old Testament, and that is me. It is insane to think I'm wrong. It is extremely delusional. The Bible is full of reasons that I'm right. Kings, Samuel, okay, you name it, Amos, Hosea, okay, Isaiah, on and on. They're all saying this is a martial art order, right? Genesis 10, Nimrod, a mighty hunter, mighty warrior before the Lord. You connect the dots, especially Revelation 19, waging war with righteousness and justice, a sharp double-edged sword coming out of his mouth, not a sling, not a bow, not a gun. That is the pinnacle of it. That is the spirit. A particular martial art spirit, a sharp double-edged sword. Okay, then the women come out singing later on in 1 Samuel 18, and says that Saul has slayed thousands, but David tens of thousands. So you see, the throne is established in martial prowess and righteousness. That's how he established it. That was the true scale of the King of Kings, the top person, the anointed of God. That's what it is. Not science, not money. Was Jesus a scientist? Did he have lots of money? No. Did he say he came to bring a sword? Yes. Did he die poor? Yes. Not actually defeating the other person with the flesh? Did Jesus overthrow the Romans or the Jews? No. Did John the Baptist? No. Stephen the martyr? No. The 12 disciples? No. In righteousness and martial principle. Universal moral principle. That's why Jesus said to the Jews, "Why don't you judge for yourselves what is right," knowing that the message would be carried to the Gentiles in the story. He knew that, if he's the Son of God in the story, he knew that the message was going to find its way to the Gentiles and say, "Why don't you also judge for yourself what is right?" How? Universal principle. How did Solomon judge between the two women about the baby? Universal moral principle. It didn't say in the Torah or anywhere else how to make that judgment. He used universal moral principle, righteousness and justice, the measuring line and plume line. I've proven my case a million times over in
hundreds, if not thousands of videos by now.